Welcome. In this video, I will explain why some people find they are held back from achieving what they're truly capable of. And of course, I will tell you what you can do about it. Please join me. I'm Dr. Michael Paterson, clinical psychologist. For years, I've been working with people to help them recognize and deal with limiting thoughts and emotions that have stopped them from achieving their true potential. I would like to share with you some of my knowledge and skills to help you achieve what you are truly capable of. You might notice that I have two prosthetic limbs. There is a backstory to this, and that is available on another YouTube video. Please feel free to view it. These limiting thoughts and emotions that people have arise from different experiences that they have had in life. Some people are faced with an opportunity to achieve what their desire might be, but they turn away, head down, and don't take that chance. This reinforces a negative self-belief of there's something wrong with me. Other people strive to achieve, which is great, it's wonderful. But instead of setting the standard here and working towards it, they're setting it up here as perfection. And in the pursuit of perfection, it's rarely, if ever, achieved. And when falling short of perfection, it reinforces that negative self-belief. There's something wrong with me. The experiences that we have in life can be positive experiences. When we think about those, they can feel very comfortable. The other side of the coin, of course, is that we have negative experiences. Now, some of those have been resolved. It's water under the bridge. It's old stuff. When we think about them, it's not uncomfortable whatsoever. However, there can often be negative experiences that the brain has not been able to process. And these are so uncomfortable to think about. We can think of these experiences as being stored in what's called a memory network. Let's say a memory network looks like a hand. So using a prosthetic hand doesn't explain this very well, but have a look at this picture. I think this hand looks much better than my plastic one. You can see the fingers of the hand. They represent channels of information which are associated with each other. They link together to form the memory network. One channel might have the sensory aspects of the experience, the sights, the sounds, the smells, and even the tastes. Another channel could hold the thoughts that we had at the time of that event. In another channel, the emotions that were experienced at the time could be present. The physical sensations which were experienced at the time of that original event could also be stored, this time in a separate channel. In the final channel, the beliefs that we develop about ourselves as a result of that experience. You can think of those beliefs as being a verbal summary of the stored experience. All these channels link together. When the information in the channels feeds into the present, it colors our perception of the situation that we are in. It affects our attitude, and then it affects our behavior. How the brain processes information determines the type of memory network the memories are stored in. Positive memories get stored in adaptive memories. They're good for us. Negative experiences that have been resolved get stored as adaptive memories. Also good for us. But the experiences that we have not been able to process, they are stored in maladaptive memory networks that color our perception of the situation we're in, affect our attitude, and then our behavior. So the way the brain processes information, it's a bit like laundry. We put the item in the washing machine, it gets washed, it gets dried, it gets ironed, it gets put away nice and neatly. That would be like the normal everyday events that the brain has been able to process. They go through a process, they get stored away in time and space. We know they're in the past and they feel as if they're in the past. When those disturbing events occur, they are more likely item of clothing that doesn't go through the laundry. Let's say a boy of 14 who has been wearing the same underpants for 5 days. Then he decides he wants to change them. Great. The sensible thing would be put them in the wash basket. But he doesn't. He throws them underneath his bed. Now you could imagine the strains of bacteria that are breeding in his underpants for 5 days. So in the heat of the bedroom, underneath the bed, the bacteria continues to breed. And of course, it smells. So the smell wafts out from underneath the bed. It fills the room. It affects the immediate environment, the then and there. If the door of the room is left open, the smell wafts out and goes in different directions. So it spreads out to affect that area. It spreads out to affect that area and spreads out to affect that area too. That's very similar to those disturbing events that the brain has not been able to process. When they occur, it affects the then and there at that time. It lays down a negative self-belief, a reference point. And as we go through life, we'll draw on what we believe about ourselves to make sense of that situation that we are in. So it colours our perception, affects our attitude, and then it affects our behaviour. For example, somebody who is told they're stupid, they're useless, and it happens on a regular basis. Well, that negative self-belief gets laid down. I'm defective. I'm not good enough. I'm a failure. Or praise is not given when in fact it should have been. Acts of omission as well as acts of commission. Once that negative belief is laid down and affects our perception, our attitude and our behaviour, it will affect how we deal with things in life. So the person who believes I'm not good enough may face the opportunity to achieve, but I'm going to fail anyway, because that's what they believe about themselves. The head goes down, they walk away. As a result, it reinforces that negative self-belief. It remains, it fights for its survival. The person who sets their goal as perfection, in the pursuit of perfection, achieves a very high standard, which is wonderful. But does it weaken the negative self-belief? No. They've fallen short of perfection. And by falling short of perfection, it reinforces the negative self-belief of I'm not good enough, I'm a failure. Now that seems to relate to career, but it can also relate equally as well to relationships. Somebody who has a negative belief of there's something wrong with me, I'm defective, mightn't bother to try and have a relationship with somebody. Who would want me anyway? And avoid them. So if they don't have a relationship where they feel needed or wanted or loved, then it's going to reinforce that negative self-belief of I'm unlovable. Some people with that negative self-belief might allow themselves to start a relationship. The other person shows an interest in them, and suddenly somebody's showing an interest in me. Oh, wonderful. And then they're all over them like a rash. Of course, the other person backs off because it's too much too quick. And if that's the case, it reinforces that negative self-belief of nobody wants me, I'm unlovable. So, what can we do about it? One could engage in psychological therapy. Cognitive behaviour therapy is very good. It has a wealth of evidence that indicates it can weaken those negative self-beliefs. Another therapy that I have found very powerful is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, EMDR therapy. It can go deep, very deep, and allow us to process those past experiences that are sitting there in unprocessed form, stuck in that memory network. It's like taking the underpants, putting them in the washing machine so they can be washed, dried, ironed, and put away nice and neatly. So those negative experiences, not only would we know they're in the past, they can feel as if they're in the past. The other choice, of course, is to accept the fact that you have this negative self-belief, but still set the goals you wish to achieve. Realistic goals are important. Setting a long-term goal, we can work towards that in manageable steps. I've produced a series of videos for YouTube, and on this series there is one on goal setting. But if we are setting a goal, we also need to have our lives in balance. We could be totally focused on a goal and work towards it, to the exclusion of everything else in our lives. That's not good. Balance is so important. There is another video in the series about keeping our lives in balance. I do hope you'll have a look at that. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want to help you achieve what you are truly capable of.